Hey guys, I'm Sai, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. And this is the return of the Conspiracy Theory series, and this is episode number 17, technically. I haven't done one for months, so it's going to be a bit of fun getting into the depths of all things conspiracy. And you can catch this show and all our other shows on youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Subscribe, and of course all the audio versions of every single show you can get at your usual podcast and radio apps. All the links in the description. Give us a follow on social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the best way to follow us. Support the shows and the channel. And we do lots of live shows, lots of recorded shows, lots of expert guests, analysis, all sorts of craziness with some big names. So we're going to be talking conspiracy theories, as I mentioned. We haven't done one for a while. And joining me is conspiracy theory enthusiast, Mr. Rhys Pycroft. How are you, my friend?
All good, all good. It's been a while, mate.
It has been a while. It's been a while. And people get to see your beautiful face now as well. Because when we used to do them on Skype, we could never get your camera to work.
Yeah.
So it's...
Can't believe we've done 17 shows.
I know. Well, the thing is, we've done like 6... This is 17th. And then we also done, I think, 4 serial killer ones as well. And I think you done a couple of the Marvel ones, didn't we? And then you done one with Jamie as well, a TV one. It's been all over the shop.
Yeah, the Endgame one was epic. That was like 2 hours long.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing them, all those Marvel ones, so they were good. Like what rewatching it all.
Phase.
Yeah, it's gonna be good, some good stuff. So we thought we'd kick it off with a bang. Re-kick it off, I suppose I should say. Get back into the conspiracy theories. Have a look at what's going on in the world. So we're going to talk the rumoured satanic elite of the world, the satanic overlords, who run the Western world particularly, but basically run the world. We talked about we did one, I think, on the Illuminati and the New World Order. So we're gonna. It's kind of the same as that, but it's similar, I suppose, because it's going to be slightly different because it's more towards the satanic side of it, and all the rumors and the things which people pick up on for different, like what they think is like different clues to there being satanic overtones to so much of what you see every day. Whether it's music videos or media or TV, just everywhere. Where do you stand on it, mate? Just like overall.
There seems to be too much coincidence to it all. There's got to be something there. This isn't just rumour now, there's too much. And some big names have been arrested already.
Yeah, like when you look at the abuse claims and stuff, it's like there's just, you see like different names linked with it or rumored to be linked with it. And then one of the funniest like social media posts or memes I've seen recently was when that Ghislaine Maxwell got arrested, and people were putting posts up like something like, "Oh, I can't believe that Ghislaine Maxwell's died of coronavirus next week."
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, that kind of fits.
She's all the fake alive. News and all that.
She's still alive, mate, at the moment.
I don't think they can get away with doing it again, can they? I mean, come on. After Epstein.
And I think like the net was closing in on her for weeks, wasn't it? Like she knew it was coming. So like if she's got all the tapes and stuff, which she people seem to think that she has, of all the all these big names and people who
apparently a judge has just ruled in America now that they're going to release the transcripts of some previous civil cases against her that were settled out of court.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I can gather from like the talk on the net, there's going to be a lot of names in these transcripts.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the way I look at it is, like, if she's got tapes of people, is if she was clever, which I'm assuming she is, to get away with stuff for allegedly for fucking 40 years or whatever it is, like, the fact is, she knew the net was closing in, so she would just put those tapes somewhere safe or give them to someone and say, if anything happens to me when I get arrested, like I accidentally die in my prison or I choke on my food or whatever, or if I kill myself, then just release all the tapes to the media or to, put them on
The thing that
internet.
gets me there, though, who can she trust, mate? Now this net's come in, everyone's guilty who knows each other over there. She hasn't probably got anyone she could trust who want them tapes being released. They're probably on the frigging tape.
But do you know who she could go to? She could go to someone like a David Icke, for instance, just plucking a name out of like nowhere. He is someone who she can guarantee is more interested in getting those tapes out than being paid off by by anyone. So
or
there is people out there. No.
She's bound to know a ruthless journalist. One of them.
I think the only problem with like journalists is finding one which isn't.
It's finding that one who doesn't care for money. They want the fame.
Yeah, and the thing is, like journalism these days isn't what it used to be when like we were younger. Like journalism when we were younger was all about like breaking the story and investigating.
Yeah, there's no drama McIntyre's about or anything nowadays.
It's just you basically and like you see that. I don't know if you're aware like who Anna Breeze is or Anna Breeze. So she used to work for the BBC and ITV, and she left because she didn't like the fact that she wasn't allowed to go. She was a newsreader and a journalist for the BBC, and she basically didn't like the fact that they weren't reporting news. They were just told what to report, basically. And she also didn't like the way they reacted to the Jimmy Savile stuff coming out, whereby the people who blew the whistle were the ones who got suspended and fired, and the people who knew about it for all those years and did nothing were the ones who got promoted and looked after. So she left, and she's doing her. I would urge anyone to have a look at her YouTube channel. She's doing some amazing work, just investigating stuff and doing it herself. And she's a Cardiff lady, which is always a bonus in my eyes. And she came on my podcast as well, which
And the thing is, now the net is closing, people can risk speaking more, so people will back people like her more. And she'll get more funding and more insight. And
do you know who she had on her podcast, on her YouTube channel the other week during lockdown was Robbie Williams, which was, I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I've watched like a bit of it, and it is fascinating to listen to someone who's got like millions and he's got all the money he'll ever need, had all the fame. There's no need for him to speak out about anything. And like even just the little clips I saw, he was talking about like the seedy side of the music business and just all this sort of stuff, which coincides really with what we're saying. So like when I was saying at the start then about like people speculate that there's these satanic clues in music videos, and the first one which springs to mind is the dollar bill, where you've got the pyramid and the eye in the background, and if people say if you fold it in a certain way it says certain things, but like you see that a lot, that triangle with an eye in, which is obviously linked to kind of like
the
Illuminati and
the Masonics. The Illuminati and the Masonics are the main for it, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that is like if you look around, it's everywhere. That sort of symbolism is literally everywhere. It's in the 9/11 stuff. It's in Pearl Harbor. It's Boston Marathon bombings, and it's just like it is literally everywhere. You look at music videos, and you see all the rappers and the pop singers, and they're all doing different symbols and things, which people say is Masonic or is Satanic or is, is linked to all these different things. And obviously we'll go through like a couple of different things, but like then you've got things like sacrifices, where people say that certain celebrities, when they either become no longer useful or they start speaking out about certain things, which
Yeah.
the people in charge don't want them to speak out of, they suddenly end up dead. Whitney Houston springs to mind. Paul Walker is another one who people think is, was sort of sacrificed, for lack of a better word.
Princess Diana.
Yeah, Diana, which we're going to do. The next show is going to be on the death of Diana, because I find that really fascinating, because I still find
Yeah.
it bizarre that no one mainstream has like ever done like a proper investigation into it, because I've seen two documentaries on it made by people, basically like semi-professional documentary filmmakers who did their investigations, and their research is so vast, and the documentaries are fascinating, and they expose all this stuff which if I hadn't watched them I wouldn't know. And then I think, God, imagine what someone with like the BBC's funding could do, or Sky's funding, or ITV. Imagine what they could do investigating that.
They could, but they're all owned by the people who caused it.
Well, yeah, there's that. There's that.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
everything's alleged, and we're not saying that everything which we're going to discuss is true. Just discussing it because it's fun.
Yeah, we just have opinions on it.
That's it, mate.
We're
So
just two council boys. We don't actually know what goes on
no,
out there.
no, that's it, mate. And then you got like Prince Harry and Meghan. There was all sorts of stuff about their wedding and all the kind of symbolism behind that. And then people were like really surprised when they suddenly upped and left. And what you got to remember with her is she was just like me and you, and then all of a sudden she was kind of married
Prince.
into the royal family. So if she wasn't just the sort of person who was just going to go along with whatever weird shit they do, and however what all the bad stuff which they're rumored to be a part of, she was of course going to get her kid and husband as far away as possible from her. And if Harry is, if he proper loves her, he's going to go wherever she says.
Yeah.
And they were out of there quick. Like if you
To
look at
be fair, Harry has always been the rebel of the royals anyway.
yeah, I think he I think, and it's only my opinion, that I've got no proof or reason to think it, and other than just it being my opinion. But I think he thinks that the royal family, like his dad and the Queen, were behind the murder of his mother. But he's never felt, he's never felt in a position to be able to come out and say it. Obviously, for obvious
Yeah.
reasons, he can't.
And
But
I mean,
think
being in the
that's
royal
where their
family,
relationship broke down, mate. I think is when he got to like a teenage years, and he's got the internet like the rest of us, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're telling me
yeah.
that if your mum died in suspicious circumstances, you wouldn't have a look at what's the rumors? There's a
And look at all the
documentary
people he
on my
has
mum's
around him,
death.
the people he question about him and things, and being in that royal family, he'd know of certain things they've been involved in or done or
Of course he would.
etc. So he's going to be worried.
Yeah, it's like it's never ending. Like some of the rumors about the satanic side of like the royal family and the politicians and the Illuminati types, the elites, whereby they use things like, so the basic gist of it is they use fear, particularly in children, blood, dead bodies, organs, things like this in rituals to give them what they believe to be, it can be anything from like immortality or like health and vigor and if they're getting old, and you know, all sorts of stuff. And like, I was going to say, you only have to search YouTube and search like interviews from like satanic victims to see numerous interviews of people saying that they have been abused in some way by people from, you know, within UK politics or American politics or whatever. However, you probably can't do that now because YouTube has ripped anything which is like conspiracy theory related. It's a lot harder to find on YouTube now. You can find it, but it doesn't come up in this, like years ago. Like, or probably even when we first started doing this, you could type in 9/11 documentary or 9/11 truth documentary or something, and it would come up with like 15 different documentaries made by anything from just like Joe Blogs with his camera and his phone stitching together clips to like semi-professional film companies and stuff like that. But you type it in now and it comes up with like ITV's or Channel 4's exposing conspiracy theories, or, you know, all shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, mate, isn't it? Because, you know, Epstein wasn't the first to be accused of it, but he was the first where they got to a point where they didn't seem to be able to get him out of it. Like, it got the allegations and the investigation became so public so quickly that it was almost like they weren't able to like sweep it under the rug, and they tried.
I think there's a lot more people who's come forward about it, but in a way they've accused others, but it's been on Epstein Island.
On the plane, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where I think they just couldn't stop it with Epstein anymore. They had to bring someone in. It had to be someone big.
But you know, when all the allegations first broke, they were trying to like you'd see all this random stuff in the papers each day and on the news where they would trying to take people's attention away from it, but they just weren't able to get there. There was just too many people, and people. Problem is with Twitter and social media, Instagram, things like this, is these days is no matter how much you control mainstream media, which, you know, they clearly do, whether you believe in conspiracy theories or not, you know, it's clear that the media is well controlled about you know, what we get told and what we don't, and I think these days, once things start hitting a roll in social media, it's very difficult to pull it in, because there's only so many posts you can pull down off social media. There's only so many posts.
But have you noticed the pattern that when something like this breaks out with Epstein, whatever it might be, have you noticed the videos that come out going against it?
Oh yeah, there's always, isn't there? Always.
You know, so they still hold the power there, because we can't make the videos they can.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that they did, now, you know, I'm not getting into a conversation about Donald Trump, whether people like him or not, like we talked about just now off air. If you speak to people, like I've got a lot of friends in America, and some of them think he's the God's gift to savior to American politics, and some of them can't stand him. I understand both sides to a certain degree.
They're both good arguments, to be fair.
No, I used to, when he first got into office, I thought he was going to change the game, and I thought he might be a breath of fresh air, but he said so much stupid shit, and like also, like, I got a couple of friends who are like African American living in America, and like hearing their stories about like things like police and, you know, just going to the shop in the night, and you just go into the shop to get some milk, and you get, you know, if you get stopped by the police, you've got to like really, really, really concentrate hard on watching what you say and how you act. And
I got a friend in America, again, black African friend, African American. I've had this conversation with him about Trump, racism, etc. And he basically said, he turns around, he says he's not a supporter of Trump, but he said Trump's not a racist.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the thing with the police, the way we get treated, everything like that. He said, this has been going on for centuries.
God, yeah. Mate,
He said,
it's been going
Trump
on in
has
the UK as
changed
well.
it massively. But you're not going to change it overnight.
Well,
and in that time scale of centuries to what Trump's been here, look at it that way. Like, I'm not a massive supporter of Trump or nothing.
Well, mate, look at the LA riots in the 90s, wasn't it? Like, that was all started from the police killing a black guy.
Rodney Marsh?
Rodney King.
Rodney King.
And Stephen Lawrence in the UK. Just like,
yeah.
It's never ending, mate. But, like, the reason I brought Trump up is what they did is when the Epstein stuff first broke, straight away there were stories in the next day about Trump. He was going to be first of all it was the Russians. Then when that didn't really catch the people's kind of attention as much as they would have liked, it was they linked him to Epstein later on, and it was all they tried everything to kind of distract the people from Epstein until it was tough shit in the end. He was going, but I said at the time, as soon as they arrested him and he was put in a prison cell, I said there is no way that anybody is letting him get into a court of law. No way.
Yeah, no, we knew that. There was no way.
When you're linked to the Clintons, who've got a long history of allegedly burying rape allegations, murder allegations, whatever it may be, against both Hillary and Bill, and you look up like the Clintons and the missing victims and allegations and stuff, it's never ending. And I just thought, when you've got pictures of Bill Clinton going on to his plane and stuff, and with Epstein in his house and stuff, there's no way they were going to let him speak in court and give evidence, because like any other of these fuckers, they don't care about human life, and the first thing they will do is sell out anybody to save their own skin. So if he would have got a deal whereby he didn't have to spend a day in prison, but he gave up, for instance, allegedly, Bill Clinton, say, massive name, former president, much bigger than Jeffrey Epstein. So if he could have got a deal right where he's under house arrest for the rest of his life, but he'll give up people like Bill Clinton, then he's going to take it straight away. And
can I just say, like I say, I'm not a supporter of Trump, but I think Trump's story goes a little like he didn't get into that circle of all them Epstein.
If you read about it though, he wasn't interested in that side of it, supposedly.
No, that's what I mean. If you go back, he did at first. Trump wanted to meet everyone, wanted to be pals with everyone who was famous. Like, look at his chronological timeline. When he meets up with Epstein and them, when they were both living in Palm Beach, I think it was. Notice how Trump sort of changes at that timeline. I think he was exposed to what's going on, but he was in no position whatsoever at that time to do anything about it, because money wasn't enough.
Yeah,
but he is now in a position to do something about it, because he's got almost the #1 power spot in the world, isn't it? In the eyes of me, you, and everyone else. He's almost untouchable. But, or he's going to end up like JFK. And we'll be talking about him next year sometime on a conspiracy show.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But that's my take on it, because go look back at his business interviews and things. He's very, very intelligent in the business world. He hasn't got much common sense, but all his comments since he's been president and the things he's saying are a lot worse than the things he used to say. So I really believe he's trying to give us all a message.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's people.
Did you see his latest interview? Did you see his latest interview where they asked him about?
I don't watch him. I cannot watch him.
Funny enough, only because it popped up today, and because we spoke about this, it popped up, and I thought I'll have a look. The way he talks is a press conference for COVID. It is, and they ask about Maxwell and her arrest and Trump knowing them, And he says, yeah, when we lived in Palm Beach in Florida, they lived there as well. We knew each other. And then he kind of looks at the camera and goes, I wish her well. And it's nobody would be stupid enough to wish someone like her well in that kind of way. And it's just the way he does it. There's a lot more to this. And I think over the next
he's probably
6
saying,
months,
I wish her well against the hitman I'm going to send to kill her next week. But, you know.
I think Trump wants her a trial.
I don't know, mate. It depends if he's done anything, doesn't it? At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, mate. Is with people.
You've got to look.
Like,
they
with people like him
Trump
at the top of the tree, like the very, very top of the elite echelons of the world. What it comes down to is the ones who have done something, the ones who are involved in the just horrific stuff. They're the ones who are sweating now. They're the ones who are talking amongst themselves, saying, if she looks like she's going to talk, we have to do something about her. Because there's no way, there's too many of them that one of them will not try and get to her.
I think Tom Hanks has kind of nailed what their answer is, yeah. Become a Greek fucking citizen. Have you seen that one?
No. What's that?
Paedophilia in Greece is classed as a disability.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
And Tom Hanks has become a Greek citizen, apparently. Or a Greek citizen, apparently.
No, mate, I can't even. Infuriates me, mate.
If you see him driving around with a blue badge, you know.
So, go back to the Clintons. There was the FBI apparently in 2019 interviewed a guy who, obviously for obvious reasons, wasn't named. He went under the pseudonym Thomas Paine, and he basically said that Bill Clinton raped him when he was 8, and it was part of a satanic ritual. And this kind of really detailed, and apparently all the dates match up. It was all sorts of, everything kind of lined up. And then one of the people who had brought... Sorry, I was just looking. So the journalist, whose name was Jen Moore, who had originally put the victim and the FBI together. So basically, the victim, I think, had gone to her first. I might be wrong in that, but the victim and the journalist got together. Then they go to the FBI. He gives a statement. Everything matches up. 4 weeks later, that journalist was dead. And if you think out, like, just off those details, that's without going into the story, the details, and, how detailed that story was. Like his, whether his dates really matched up with everything with the Clintons, and, how much evidence was there. Like,
yeah.
If they're killing a journalist 4 weeks later in that situation, you're telling me that Maxwell has got all these videos and photographs and evidence of the biggest names in the world, and they're just going to leave it to chance that she's not going to sell them out to save her own skin. No fucking way, mate. No way. They will do everything in their power to whether it's paying another prisoner, whether it's trying to get to her through her food, through her guards. They are guaranteed that they will have at least discussed it.
Oh, definitely. But like I say, if Trump wants her to get to trial, I think he'll put extra measures in. I say though, right? I gotta be honest. I'd never heard of the Thomas Paine thing, so I quickly put in Google. All I wrote in was Thomas Paine Clinton. Do you know what the first thing that pops up is?
No.
Thomas Paine obituary.
Yeah.
Burial be in the Payne's Cemetery, Clinton. How's that for a conspiracy?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's crazy, mate. An obituary has never popped up on Google as my first thing.
No.
That was the number one search, Thomas Paine obituary. All I put in was Thomas Paine Clinton. That was it.
Yeah, but go back to what you were saying about, like, whether you think that they would, the people in charge, whether it's Trump or whoever, if they wanted to go to trial, they will try and protect her and keep her safe so that she can give the evidence that she's got. My point to that is there's too many people within the US
And
government or
unfortunately, more powerful people.
yeah, and as we've discussed on the shows before, like whoever's in charge of the America or the UK, they're not really in charge. It's the people behind the scenes who are in charge, who have got all the power.
I firmly do believe the world is in a secret war right now.
The world's gonna burn. We'll all be dead.
I think it's really, really in a secret war. There's never been a war between good and bad. Ever. And that's what I think is coming.
The British versus the Nazis was pretty good versus bad, mate, to be honest. Or like
yes and no. You can't exactly call Churchill a little angel.
No, not
the Nazis
like
were
him,
bad,
but the general sides, I think, were pretty clear cut.
But if you go back and look at the conspiracies that follow around that, some people believe it wasn't the Nazis kind of took over. That wasn't Hitler's idea as such. His idea was the Jews are going to cause us problem money-wise, which is kind of tied into this war that's going on now, because, to be fair, most of the biggest powers on the earth are Jewish.
Yeah, but most of the problem is, though, mate, is like, that's another story, I guess, with the, like, people, especially, like, recently with all the riots which were going on after, I've forgotten his name, the black guy who got murdered by the police.
George Floyd.
George Floyd, yeah, that's it.
Can I just say, stop 1 sec, though? For anyone who's watching, I'm not saying Hitler's a good guy or anything. I'm just playing devil's advocate and saying these are the things that have been said. Let's just get that straight.
But like when all this stuff kicked off about like George Floyd around the world, and they were tearing down statues, and then they were like, "Oh, we're going to tear down the Churchill statue because he was a racist," and I was like, "Well, you fucking only just realised that? Like, you've only just realised that the majority of the people back then, particularly the people in power, were pieces of shit." I don't understand why people. It's like people just seem to like only focus on one thing. They like hone in on we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them on the blah blah blah, and they hone in on that, and we're World War versus the Nazis, and they don't see anything else and anything else which Churchill did or say other than that. Now, I'm not saying whether Winston Churchill is a good or a bad person. I'm not saying anything either way. But what I am saying is I knew that he was, at the very least, quite right-wing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Totally.
It infuriates me, mate.
You can find dirt on any person.
Educate yourself.
If you want to.
Oh, mate, Jesus Christ. Do you know what? Right? I feel like I have this conversation all the time. But I am so glad that when I was like a teenager and even early 20s, like that there was no such thing as Facebook and Twitter and all this sort of shit.
Oh, God bless, yes.
Mate, I said and done some fucking real stupid shit when I was younger.
We all have,
and like, if I'd had social media, Jesus Christ, I'd have been unemployable. Because I would have thought it was funny to say stuff to wind people up and funny to say stuff. And that's why when people say, "Oh, I can't believe trolls say this and that," and I think, I can't believe that some trolls say stuff, certain things. Like, I don't really understand, like, if these people who are like see someone like pay tribute to like a family member who's just died, and they'll put like a photo up and they'll say nice things. And then these people who will go around looking for those and like post underneath something horrific. I don't get that, but what I mean is, like, I would have said, like, when I was younger, I would have said stupid shit about like politics just to annoy people, so I'd get like
and let's be honest, the generation before us was still not racist as such, but
it was acceptable, mate, wasn't it? Like, I'm not going to say the word, but when I grew up, what did people call it? Like a Chinese takeaway? Do you know what I mean?
They did.
Like, that was that was
same as the
what it was
local
called.
news
Like,
agents. It was never a local news agent or a corner shop. It was a
yeah,
shop.
yeah,
And that
like,
was. I don't think that was because they were racist. Because racism bred out so
it's what their
far.
parents called it, and what their
Yeah, and it was thought of as the norm until
yeah,
we were educated.
it was thought of as slang, wasn't it,
Yeah,
back then? And
like
it's only as
America is
we've
big on their black history. Britain isn't.
well,
Like the Churchill thing, when people were saying he was a racist and that, and loads of people were still backing him, it didn't shock me much because they don't teach it in school. Britain is a lazy country in general. We don't want to go find things out for ourselves. Just tell us, show us, or leave us alone. That's the attitude of most.
yeah, I think it's like very slowly, people are kind of slowly starting to realize. It still amazes me that it's taken until 2020, but people are starting to realize more and more that the media is full of crap, and if you want to find something out, go find it out for yourself, because you've got more
Yeah,
chance of forming an opinion. And like I say to my kids all the time, like, whatever your opinion is, just make it on your own. Don't have your opinion be on whatever just because it's my opinion or your mum's opinion or what you've read on the news. Go and find out and look up and investigate it, or
yeah,
like get as much information as you can about that subject, and then form your opinion. Because
yeah,
if you're forming an opinion without knowing the details, then one, it's lazy, but two, you can't have a proper opinion on something if you don't know what you're talking about. Whether it could be anything, mate. From like, if I say, let me think of something. I know, right? If I say Glee, the TV show, it's because my wife is rewatching it at the moment. If I say that is like the worst TV program that's ever been made, absolute garbage, like I could say it. It didn't mean anything because I have no idea whether it's good or bad.
some would agree with you. Some would go totally against you, mate.
But to me, like my opinion of that point of view is, I shouldn't say it because I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just basing it on what I think I should say because I'm a bloke.
And
No.
the other way to look at it, opinions can change.
Oh
You
God,
could
yeah.
watch it when it first came out, and be like, "This is the best thing ever." A few seasons into it, how shit is this?
Yeah.
Opinions change,
Oh, 100%, mate. I rewatched Fringe recently, and it was still one of the best TV shows I've ever seen.
Walter is a legend.
Made such a good actor. Such a good actor.
That were amazing. Walt and Daisy. Wow.
I'm gonna get Jamie to rewatch it. I think we haven't done a TV show for ages, so I'm gonna get him to rewatch it and talk about it.
Fringe is one of my all-time favourites.
Oh yeah, so
I'm
good.
gutted they didn't keep it going.
I don't know the way they finished it, and like the last season was just so well done, and like the last episode, there's like these moments. I watched the last episode today actually, and like there's so many callbacks and emotional goodbyes throughout the series, and it's like, I don't know, it's just so well done.
Yeah.
But like going back to Satanism, so these are some of the 20 most shocking Illuminati stroke satanic conspiracy theories. So I'm going to go through these, tell you a bit about them, and then you're going to tell me whether you believe them to
Before
be...
we go into them, because I want you to have an open mind here, I don't think any of these cults are Illuminati or Satanic. I think it's a whole new, not new, I think it's a cult we've never heard of before.
I think it's like a blend of Illuminati, Masons.
I think it's their own type of cult. It's a cult.
It's like an offshoot.
Yeah.
I think they probably started off as like, say, Masons or Illuminati, and then it's kind of just become its own.
Yeah. Or when they've got so much money and power, maybe they turned to Satan then and thought, no, that's still not enough. They believe in whatever they fucking believe in.
Well, do you know what? Right, just kind of going on, like talking about like these satanic rituals and all this sort of stuff, which is rumored that these elites do. whether it's like paedophilia or like sacrificing people or like rituals involving blood and all this weird shit, horrific shit, is I do think a percentage of it, a portion of it, is because they've got so much money that they get, like, they have everything they can ever want, and it's almost like when you've got everything, where do you get your next thrill from? Like, for me, none of that stuff would remotely fucking, like, it wouldn't interest me at all. But I just think that is probably like a portion of it, particularly for some of these younger people who get involved in all this sort of shit. If they do, who come up in, say, the music business, I think they get sucked into the promises of money and fame, and we'll make sure that you're the biggest pop star in the world if you do this or if you wear this.
To be fair, most of the ones who are in this cult or whatever it may be, they're already 1 foot on the ladder because most of them crave fame and power.
Well, mate, look what happened to Britney Spears when she basically started not doing what they wanted.
And the career.
Like, she was the biggest pop star in the world. She was she was the equivalent of what Michael Jackson was in the 90s. Just a female version. And she fell from grace quicker than he did, and he was accused of sexual abuse. She was 1 minute she was the biggest pop star in the world, the next minute she was going crazy, and no one would touch her for anything.
Bad mother and this and that, and
and like, I use her as an example because I think she's someone who shows like what happens if when these celebrities do change their mind and they speak out of it, and they realize, like, when they're young and they want the fame and the shortcut to being the biggest pop stars in the world, and then they realize what they've done as they mature, and they're like,
well, I think Hollywood nearly kind of learned their lesson with Mel Gibson, don't they? When someone starts speaking out, you shut them down and you end them quick. Mel Gibson was kind of clever enough to keep going outside of that circle, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And you look at the films he's released, Passion of the Christ, Apocalypse Now. They're not Mel Gibson. They are not Mel Gibson in the slightest.
No, it doesn't match with what he used to
do. But
they
are. That is Mel Gibson. What we saw, Lethal Weapons, all them, that wasn't Mel Gibson.
100%, mate. It's I'm just gonna have a quick look. See, celebrities who turned on the Illuminati. Let's have a look. Let's see if Britney Spears comes up a lot. 15 celebrities killed by the Illuminati. Oh, I'll have a look at that now as well. Right. So these are the 20. These are 20 satanic conspiracies. Right. So I'm going to give you like just a rough outline of each one. I just want you to tell me your opinion on them, and if you think they are true, false, or probably somewhere in the middle. So first and foremost, number 20. It's like, I'll put some chart music countdown into this now. Number 20, the New World Order. By and large, most popular conspiracy theory associated with the Illuminati. The original theory from the vast majority of all conspiracies are weaved or linked to this. It goes back hundreds of years, literally. Millions of people die from poverty, famine, disease, and people assume that it's a natural thing. But others say that it's orchestrated by the elites to keep the middle and lower class fighting each other while they run off with the money. The conspiracy clearly states that the Illuminati are pursuing a new world order and a global totalitarian government and they influence world events to serve an agenda. Fact or fiction?
Fact and fiction. I don't think it's the Illuminati doing it. New World Order, there is definitely a clique, a cabal, whatever you want to call it, of people who have got the power to do everything you've described. And have you read The Art of War?
I have
book?
not.
Basically, the best tactic you can use, if you can use it, is divide and conquer.
Oh, yeah.
If you
100%.
don't have to fight the other army and they'll fight themselves, fucking hell.
Why wouldn't you?
And yes, mate, firmly 100% believe the power keep us where we are.
Yeah.
To keep them where they
I
are.
don't even think that's in doubt at all, is it? Number 19. The banking
I think it'd be better if you did it like Bullseye. In one.
Number 19, the banking conspiracy. Some of the most powerful people who are believed to be Illuminati belong to select families. The most notable, the Rothschilds, played a crucial role in the banking conspiracy hundreds of years, specialized in funding both sides of the same war to hedge their bets. The Rothschilds were financially involved in the American Civil War, the French Revolution. Other families, which would include the Chase, the Morgan family, the Fords, the Rockefellers, together with the Rothschilds, control the most countries' banks. They have the ability to print money unbacked by any precious metals, with some international cooperation happening supposedly through organizations like the International Monetary Fund. The conspiracy paints a scary picture of the incredibly powerful gathered at the very top. Just fact or fiction?
Never been more sure of anything in my life.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty.
I mean,
safe,
look at all the central
safe
banks.
bet.
You know, the information's there for everyone to go find. Every single country almost on this planet has a central bank. If you troll enough and look enough, you can see who owns these central banks. I think there was only 3 countries, I think, that didn't have a central bank: Cuba, North Korea, and Iraq, if memory serves me correct. What's gone on with them 3 countries in the last few years?
Yeah.
Come on.
So they do, mate.
But
They
money is
destabilise
power.
them.
Money is power.
Spot on, mate. Spot on. Do you
And when
know
you've got too much money, what else can you want? Power.
I've heard a lot recently, actually, on social media, is people saying, well, if we can print money, why is there poverty? And I was just like,
Mate, that question's
where do
been
you
around
start with that?
eons. But regardless of the we can print money, we can do this. How can countries get into debt when they've got their own money? They've got a central bank.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking central bank if you can get into debt.
Yeah, and it's
Someone
because
else
the
owns
central
it.
bank is not owned by those countries. It's owned by the
Exactly.
Rockefellers and the...
Yes. No country on this earth should be in debt. End of story.
Yeah, and there shouldn't be poverty either. There's enough for everyone, just that the people at the top don't want to share
But
it.
what is it? It's something like if just the top 50 of the richest people in the UK, if they gave 1% of their wealth, it would end like world poverty.
Yeah.
And what's 1% of our wealth to people like me and you? You know, all right, with our homes, everything, all the stuff like that, probably about £1,000 per person. And if someone said to you, you can end world poverty by giving us £1,000, somehow I'd struggle and beg and borrow, but I'd get that £1,000 if it's guaranteed, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
anyone in their right mind would. And to people of their value, that's nothing.
£1,000 like fucking quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quid to us, if that.
Yeah.
And then we've got number 18. They are everywhere. The Illuminati. This theory aims to install in your hearts the feeling that the Illuminati are present in every department of every government organization around the globe. Their people have infiltrated every room where important decisions are made, from the Oval Office to 10 Downing Street, as well as boardrooms across successful companies around the world, including government agencies. From politics to business, even religion, the Illuminati are everywhere. They lead religions, have corrupted the highest levels of Freemasonry. They also exert their influence in the realms of media, thereby controlling and transmitting to the general public and films and TV shows they want you to watch. Fact or fiction?
totally true. And not just them, the Cabal, New World Order, whatever you want to call these people, every single powerful group like that will have an ear in every single powerful room in this world.
Yeah, that's it.
With the Illuminati, I've just got to say, when they kind of were born, they weren't bad people, were they? It was like Leonardo da Vinci and, you know, the free thinkers of the world, the geniuses, basically, Einstein, people like that. So where did it all go wrong? Because you've never heard badness of them people, have you?
No. Well, that's it, mate, isn't it? It's, where were they corrupted?
This is what makes me think this is the New World Order controlling the Illuminati. Now the world thinks they're all like satanic cults and things. But if you delve deep into the Illuminati, they're not. They're like, they want peace on Earth, basically. But because of media control, everything else, it looks like they're satanic cults and that now.
Yeah. Number 17. The French Revolution was the first fake terror attack, or the first staged event. The Illuminati are also accused of having orchestrated the French Revolution in what would have been their first attempt to influence a major event on a global scale. Looking back on the revolution that started in 1780, we can recognise that it was a seminal event, that it was. According to this conspiracy, after having survived their suppression by Charles Theodore, the Illuminati became the masterminds behind the French Revolution as they secretly orchestrated the revolutionary wave that would later sweep across Europe and the rest of the world. The ultimate goal? To spread their values of anti-clericalism, anti-monarchism, and anti-patriarchalism throughout the world. Fact or fiction?
I think every single war the world has ever had has been started and controlled by the same people. Whether it's the Illuminati or who it is, I don't know. But it's a fact that every single one is caused and controlled by the same people. And like you say, sometimes they control both sides.
Yeah. And I think, do you know what I would say? Going back to using Hitler as an example, World War II didn't start because of, or World War One or whatever, they didn't start because of people like Stalin and Hitler, just like the Koreans now. It's not because of Kim Jong-un, and it wasn't because of Saddam Hussein, and it wasn't because of Bin Laden. You know, these are just the figureheads that people use to push their agendas towards the war. You know, people need an evil character to focus on.
Well, like World War One, it was caused by the assassination on of Archduke, whatever his name was.
I think someone.
Nobody knows who assassinated him. Whoever assassinated him,
they never find. They don't care. They don't find out.
You know,
they didn't want to find out.
No, they wanted everyone to know who assassinated JFK. You know, the world knows, allegedly.
Well, funny enough, number 16, JFK was assassinated by the Illuminati. You were probably expecting this one. In another spin-off of the New World Order conspiracy theory, the Illuminati were associated with the assassination of the United States President John F. Kennedy. The suspicious circumstances surrounding the event have proved fertile ground for conspiracy theorists. The lack of credible evidence supporting the official version has led to proponents of the Illuminati Did It Club to claim that the secret society looked at JFK and the other Kennedy members as a political obstacle to their totalitarian goals that it simply had to remove. They also claimed that JFK was shot by his own driver instead of Lee Harvey Oswald. Fact or fiction?
Who shot him, I don't know. And I don't think it was the Illuminati or the New World Order who caused this death. Since we've done the shows on it, I've looked more and more into it. I think it was his own family.
No, not buying that one.
Yeah.
Give me three reasons. Give me 3 reasons why his family would have killed him. Quick.
He was the cleanest. He was the cleanest of his family. There's a lot of.
But I thought he was having an affair with what's her face, wasn't he?
It's an affair compared to the things his family's done. That's all they could pull on him. I think he was getting ready to drop his family in it.
He was against the New World Order, wasn't he? He
Yeah,
said
that
that
as well. But his family and the New World Order.
but he was going to make secret societies illegal, wasn't he? And he was going to disband the CIA and like there's
And
so many aspects to it, wasn't there?
Look at who his father was. He was involved in every fucking secret society out there. I think he was like a Trump. That's why I say Trump could end up like JFK. I think he was about to expose stuff that was going on.
Maybe we'll revisit JFK for your new theories.
There is like threads to follow on that, mate, that I had never seen before, to be honest.
Yeah, all right. We'll go have to revisit that. Number 15. The Illuminati rely on satanic rituals. Goat symbols, devil worship are some of the satanic rituals associated with the Illuminati. This theory goes back to the origins of the organization, claiming anti-clericism was merely cover for their satanic intentions. According to this theory, the cult, through the cult of Lucifer, the Illuminati to illuminate derive their power to influence world events and carry out their agenda. The Pope and the Catholic Church were claimed to be closet Satanists, working with the Illuminati to bring about the New World Order, which will be led by the Antichrist. Obama was the latest to be named as the Antichrist by the advocates of this theory. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Not having that one at all, are you?
No, I think the Catholic Church were a part of the reason to create the story of the Illuminati being Satanist and things. Because at the time, religion controlled everything, didn't it? Let's be fair.
Yeah, so I don't believe that Obama's the Antichrist. No. I don't believe that the Catholic Church and the Pope, I'm kind of, don't know. But I do believe that there's people within the elite, whether it's the Illuminati or whoever, who do these sorts of satanistic rituals, because I believe that they, like I go back to what I said, like they're so rich that they want to find, they think that by eating babies or whatever weird fucking horrific shit they do, that they'll prolong their life or they'll give them vigor or whatever bullshit they come up with. I do believe that there's, maybe not all of them, but there's a select few which take part in that. People like Jimmy Savile and people like the Clintons and people like this, I believe, do this sort of shit.
Definitely. Lady Gaga, gotta be, she's batshit crazy.
Particularly the 80s UK politics was full of it, full of ritualistic abuse of young people.
Let's be fair,
under the guise of mental hospitals as well, particularly children.
Don't go there. That's the whole world on its own, isn't it?
Oh yes. Number 14, an old favourite. 9/11 was an Illuminati involvement. After JFK assassination, 9/11 was probably next on your list of likely conspiracy theories to find on this list. The Illuminati conspiracy theory behind 9/11 claims that George Bush was just a puppet pandering to the interests. According to these claims, it is very common as governments often attack their own people in order to serve the Illuminati. This type of false flag attack is used in order to push through legislation that restricts the people's liberties. Have you heard this before? Yes, I have. Fact or fiction?
Definitely an inside job.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'd like to do a show where we look at the history of false flag attacks as well. We really like to investigate that.
Oh, we could do that all day. You'd have to pick like the top 10 major ones.
Yeah. And speaking of said false flag attacks, allegedly, one which people do think was maybe some sort of dodginess too. Number 13, Pearl Harbor, another Illuminati job. The Pearl Harbor attack was the most destructive blow ever inflicted to the American military. The conspiracy theories about the President Roosevelt's foreknowledge of the attack have been around forever. Theorists backing the claim suggest that there is ample evidence pointing to the fact that Pearl Harbor had been foreseen President Roosevelt, who led the America at the time of Pearl Harbor, is credited with following this eerie statement. In politics, nothing happens by accident. If something happens, you can bet it was planned that way. With any major event, suspicions of Illuminati hand guiding the proceedings are never far behind. Fact or fiction?
Probably fact, because like we say, every war's controlled.
Yeah.
You know,
And that
whether
was what...
we don't know the ins and outs of it, you know, if he knew what the extent of the attack was going to be, etc. But it was controlled, it was planned. People knew it was coming.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with like the Pearl Harbor, the ins and outs and stuff. I'd have to look at it properly. But I, off the top of my head, I seem to remember that the Pearl Harbor attack is what got the American public on board with like the war and the attacks and things like that. I don't. I like I say, I'm got off the top of my head, but I think that prior to that, they didn't have public support. Which
I think you're right. Like I say, I haven't looked into it.
Well, look at you only have to look at the 7/7 bombings in the UK. The UK public was completely against going to Iraq and similar. They weren't by the 8th of July. But number 12. What's that?
Coincidence.
Yeah, well, there's loads of those, mate. Number 12, the Boston Marathon bombings. Now, this I do know a lot about. And it's one of those ones which doesn't get as much kind of attention as like 9/11 and 7/7 and these things. There's some real shady shit behind this one. So in April 2013, 2 homemade bombs were made to detonate 12 seconds and 210 yards apart shortly before 3 p.m. close to the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Hundreds of people were injured, several losing limbs, and 3 individuals died. Following the false flag logic, conspiracies emerged surrounding the presumed satanic involvement in the attacks. The only difference that in this case there is more circumstantial evidence linking the case to the Illuminati. The finish line was 666 Boylston Street, Boston, whilst there is also a Masonic lodge on the same street. 666 is a number associated with the satanic cult. Freemasonry is claimed to have strong links to the Illuminati. Due to this and much more evidence, the Boston Marathon bombings are referred to by conspiracy theorists as either a human sacrifice or a false flag attack. Fact or fiction?
False flag attack.
Yeah, I think so.
Major incident, and you're telling me 2 bombs went off and only 7 died?
Yeah, well, mate, I don't want to go into it too much because I'd rather do a show on it. But I'm not sure they're still on YouTube. But there's like video clips of people being filmed putting prosthetic limbs on and fake blood and all this sort of.
But I mean, if they were doing them, if 2 home terrorists, as they say, were doing that to cause damage, they would have caused a lot more damage.
Yeah.
That's
number 11.
That's why September 11. I don't think the Boston bombings was enough damage to get the attention they wanted. So look at September 11.
Yeah.
They learn from history.
Yeah. Number 11. When the regular planes cross the sky, they leave behind something called a condensation trail. These condensation trails dissipate within a few minutes. Conspiracy theorists accuse the secret society of creating a new type of condensation trail in the 1990s. This new type of condensation, known as chemtrails, delivers anything from poison to heavy metals to create illnesses, which the conspiracy theorists claim the Illuminati use to weaken the masses. But don't beat yourself up for wanting to stay in now and again. Fact or fiction? Chemtrails.
Fiction. There is chemtrails, but I don't think it's. There's just not enough evidence supporting it.
Yeah, I kind of lean on that side of it as well.
I've tried looking into like medical reports on everything, because you know me, I love a good conspiracy and I want to believe it, but there's just not enough there. Simple as that.
Number 10. The Illuminati loves drugs. It is no accident that most suspected mass shooters are found to be under the influence of some sort of psychoactive drug. Fans of this theory claim that the people are deliberately drugged in order to get them to perform tasks that they wouldn't normally do. A prime example of this task would be a mass killing of your own species. These unstable minds don't usually remember being kidnapped and drugged, and which only excites the proponents of this theory. The Illuminati use psychoactive drugs that are used to manipulate people into doing their bidding and distort the perception of the masses when it comes to things like gun control and alike. Fact or fiction?
I'm on the fence with that one. We know we've done many chats about mind control and the drugs they use and things like that. So there is something there. But I also know from people I've hung around with in my youth and things, if you're on a psycho drug or LSD or magic mushrooms or something like that, you don't really follow what people tell you.
Yeah,
But
I think
with the
it's
mind
more
control
like
with it,
it's the other aspects of it, isn't it? Like, if you look at like all the like mass shootings in America over the last 10, 15 years, they all seem to be on antidepressants or those
yeah,
type of like the mind, like the
they've picked a
personality
weak
altering
person.
drugs.
Yeah, they've picked a weak person on purpose to control them. I mean, look at Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. And that makes you look at what they used to do with like MK Ultra and stuff, which was the last shows we did was the 3-part on MK Ultra,
Yeah,
and like they used to, they basically literally used to break people, like torture them and drug them and just hurt them and emotionally abuse them and break them, sexually
totally
abuse them
break
so in
them.
some cases, break them so that they had multiple personalities, and then they'd have the one personality would be the killer, and the others wouldn't know anything about it, and they
Basically,
would just activate you.
they've taken Stockholm syndrome and condensed it into like a few days. You
Oh,
know what
it's
people can develop
brutal,
over
mate.
years with Stockholm syndrome, they managed to kind of replicate that in a few days somehow.
Number 9, the Great Depression. The Great Depression, believed by some to be the work of the Illuminati. These people claim that when the Federal Reserve was created, this gave the Illuminati the tool they wanted, a central bank which was unaccountable to the people. With this move, conspiracy theorists claim that the Satanists' banking cartel captured full control of the money and credit machine of the United States. They claimed the unplanned shortage of call money in the New York money market wasn't unplanned after all. They believe it to be a mechanism to impoverish the American people, transferring more wealth to the very top. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
We spoke about the central banks,
Yeah.
it's
Number 8. Whitney Houston was an Illuminati sacrifice. I'm supposed to be unbiased in my account of these conspiracy theories, says the person who wrote this list, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a favourite in every list. This entry is my favourite on this list, and I think it will be yours too. Several celebrities, such as Madonna, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rihanna, are claimed to belong to the Illuminati. They value their exposure and their fame, and they use their music videos to spread the society's imagery. These theories claim that Whitney Houston was a member of the Illuminati. Nothing shocking up until here. The advocates of this conspiracy theory claim that Whitney Houston was sacrificed by the Illuminati for 2 reasons. One, to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee. Queen Elizabeth II is presumed to be an honoured member of the secret society who perhaps had a long-standing beef with Whitney Houston. And 2, to make room in the society for none other than Blue Ivy Carter, who is the daughter of Jay-Z and Beyonce. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they killed her. But
That
equally,
wouldn't surprise me.
but
I don't
not
think.
for those
I
reasons.
don't think she'd remember though.
I don't know. It's difficult to say, isn't
Probably
it? Like,
maybe.
she hanged around with some shady people.
Yeah, but she was too drugged off her tits to know what was going
Yeah, at
on.
the end of the day, she did have a drug problem, and it's whether you think that drug problem is what killed her, and it was it
You look at all the
was it
pictures.
a naturally occurring drug problem because of
Yeah,
her lifestyle and fame, or was it enforced onto her?
I think her
That's
and
the other
Bob
thing.
was the battle of the good and the bad. Whitney the good, Bobby the bad. He
Possibly,
couldn't
mate.
break her, so they eventually got rid of her.
Yeah, possibly.
But I don't sacrifice because, from what I can gather about the sacrifices and everything they made, it was more somebody who was pure. So she was just someone who was off. Sorry, sadly.
Maybe. Number 7, Blue Ivy, Illuminati chosen one. Blue Ivy Carter is the daughter of Jay-Z and Beyonce. In case you have been living under a rock for a baby, she is very famous. Blue Ivy has a conspiracy theory all of her own, which is pretty impressive when you account for the fact that she's probably, I don't actually know, I think she's probably about 5 or something. The theory claims that there's a hidden meaning behind her name. The Blue Ivy stands for born, living under evil Illuminati's very youngest. Yeah, okay, whatever. That seems far-fetched to me.
You could use the words of any baby's name to
Yeah,
make
of course you could.
if you wanted to.
Are we going with fiction for that one, mate?
Fiction.
Number 6. We did a show on this, but we'll talk about it quickly. Reptilian aliens. A British conspiracy theorist named David Icke has defended the existence of reptilian humanoids who are able to shapeshift. They drink blood, and they have taken control of the planet by adopting a human form with the sole purpose of gaining power to manipulate humanity. Icke several occasions that many are world leaders possessed by these so-called reptilians, including George Bush, Queen Elizabeth, and much more. David Icke has given lectures in 47 countries to crowds of up to 6,000, and a 2013 poll suggests that 4% of Americans voters agree with David Icke. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. There is aliens. But
Seems too far-fetched, doesn't it? But I also wouldn't be surprised, I'll be honest.
Yeah. 2020, mate. Nothing's going to shock me this year, no.
No. Number 5. We're into the top 5 satanic alleged conspiracies. American citizens are to be gathered into Fema concentration camps. Obviously, this one's been going around for years. But, these camps is a fact that they exist. I will say that first. You can watch videos and see that they exist. They got full of like plastic graves, not plastic graves, coffins. But just to give people an outline, the Fema camps conspiracy defends that the Illuminati will use the organization they control, like the Fema, to imprison American citizens in concentration camps. Why? Advocates of this theory maintain that this will be one of the final steps taken by the secret society when they finally complete their relentless pursuit of totalitarian government. In order to achieve said government, they need to get rid of dissidents, which is precisely where the Fema camps come into the fray. Large numbers of American citizens will be imprisoned as a prelude to certain extermination, thereby allowing the Illuminati to establish the new world order they so desire, free of dissident voices. Fact or fiction?
Would not surprise me in the slightest.
No.
It's not fact at the moment, but would not surprise me in the slightest.
It's like one of the most realistic conspiracy theories out there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Number 4. H1N1 pandemic was orchestrated. Now this is kind of topical. Orchestrated by the Illuminati. According to conspiracy theory, the Illuminati had been testing viruses for several generations. Epidemics such as the Spanish flu of 1918, SARS, or the H1N1 virus were consequences of this work. An online testimony guarantees the H1N1 pandemic resulted from tests conducted by the Illuminati in a desolate part of the Brazilian forests. The surrounding locals had to be quarantined, but a traveller escaped and carried the virus to Mexico. The report states that the Illuminati were displeased with the lack of effectiveness of the virus, as they were after a virus that could kill an entire population or country in a matter of days, which manifested itself like the flu.
I believe all these viruses were man-made.
Fact or fiction? And just to be clear, I just want to double check now quickly. When was this article written? Let's have a look. He says, I wouldn't be surprised. If I was guessing, I'm going to say 2013, but I'll have a quick look. 2017. So they've had a couple of years to perfect it since then. And did they achieve it with the coronavirus? How many people on the planet will have died of coronavirus by the time it's over? Will they have depopulated us enough? They'll certainly have collapsed the economy, whether it is intentional or not. And
it's strange how it happened in the most overpopulated country in the world, though, isn't it? Where it broke out.
Bizarre, no? Imagine so many coincidences. And into the top 3, the Illuminati run a machine which can produce natural weather phenomenon. Wow. HARP stands for High Frequency Active Aurora Research Program. I think we did a show on this, didn't we?
Yeah.
And is the cornerstone of several conspiracy theories. The program was started in a joint effort of several branches of the United States military to investigate the ionosphere. However, conspiracy theories believe that this program's creation is a weather weapon, capable of weaponizing the weather, and have already tested it out with Hurricane Katrina and more. The machine is supposed to be kept in a highly secret underground bunker in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which is more on topic with the next entry. Is that fact or fiction, mate? HARP.
Believable to a point. I don't think they can control it, as in fully control it, but I think they can unleash it.
I think, so I don't think they can press a button and it starts raining, or they can press a button and the sun comes out or it snows. However, I think they can manipulate it. They can manipulate
it. Rain. They can make it windy.
Yeah, they can manipulate the atmosphere to create weather. It might just not be instant. It might take, a day or two for it to manifest. And
they haven't worked out how to fully control it yet. That's why you don't see as many weather phenomenons.
If they had it weaponized, there would be no need for war, because just instead of bombing someone, you just send a fucking, like a super strong tornado or earthquakes and whatever.
But on the other hand, they could eradicate war, because third world countries would no longer be third world countries. Eventually every country would make a level playing field, but they don't want that to happen.
Yeah, of course, no, they don't want that. And as we get to the end of the list, and towards the end of the show, number 2, the Illuminati's network of underground bunkers. This incredible conspiracy theory claims that the Illuminati run a network of over 400 underground bunkers spread throughout the world, the largest of which being in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and apparently there are 57 of these underground bases and bunkers in the United States alone. These bunkers are claimed to be like 5-star hotels built underground to hold members of the Illuminati and the elite in the case of a massive catastrophe. In addition, they also serve as meeting rooms for some of the more numerous gatherings, as well as deposit large amounts of food, money, and recreational drugs. Where else would you rather be when the world ends, mate, I suppose?
Totally 100% true, mate. There's nuclear bunkers now for average Joes.
Yeah.
Imagine what the elite and the powerful are going to have as their nuclear bunker.
Well, mate, I gotta say, when I make my first million or I win the lottery, the first thing I would do when I build my house is I'd have an underground bunker which would be stored with food and generators and stuff, so that when the undoubted nuclear apocalypse comes, I can live out a couple of extra years with my family. 100%, I would do that.
I've seen Zombieland. All I need is a Twinkie, a shotgun, and a piano.
Number 1. Martin Luther King was assassinated by the Illuminati. Much like the 9/11 attacks, Pearl Harbor, the JFK, Martin Luther King's assassination has been used by several conspiracy theorists as yet another liquidation carried out by the interests which serve the Illuminati. Martin Luther King is claimed to have been killed by a secret society due to his stance against the Vietnam War, but mostly because of what he stood for as a whole. The Illuminati did not want a society of equals, and Martin Luther King's message was inspiring and posed a grave threat to their ultimate goal of uniting the nations under one world government. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I don't think his assassination went that high. It was done in-house in America by Lower. The New World Order, or whatever you want to call them, they didn't need to do it. They knew someone in America would.
Yeah, very possible. Very possible. And that's the list of 20 Illuminati / Satanic conspiracies. I'm going to probably cut that into a clip, top 20 list, and make it into a shorter little clip to promote said show. So I know, like tonight, we've done like a bit of a general chat, like a reintroduction to the world of conspiracy theories. Next episode, we will be smack bang into the like one conspiracy theory in lots of detail, and it's going to be the alleged murder of Princess Diana, or Princess Diana's death, shall we say. So I'm going to send Rhys a link to a documentary which I want him to watch before next week, and we're gonna both watch it, and we're gonna have a little bit of research, and we're gonna discuss it and what happened to her. Was she murdered? Did she just die naturally, in accident? And who was behind it? Whose fault is it? Is she still alive? We will investigate all angles, mate.
Good show.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm quite looking forward to it. There's so much. You Google, even if you just Google Princess Diana murder, the amount of stories which come up is just insane. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So, you can find Rhys on Instagram at Rhys P 1978. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Ace Podcast Nation. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's the best way to support us and support the show. And check out all the different shows, clips, videos, and the like. You can also buy some Ace Podcast Nation merchandise on Teespring store, which is now flashing across the bottom of the screen. There's only a few little bits and pieces on there. I think it's a mug and a t-shirt. But yeah, if you want to support us. And there's also a PayPal link somewhere. I don't know where that is. I think it's on the audio podcast page, which if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or a tip, you're more than welcome. But to be honest with you, I would just like people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do that. I'm super on board for that. We hit 10,000 followers on Facebook the other day, which is just ludicrous to me. It's wild. But yeah, I'd like to build up the YouTube numbers.
I can remember talking to you at the beginning and you waiting for your first 100.
Oh, mate, it's craziness. It's craziness. I think YouTube's on about 850, so I'd like to start building them up. Thing is, people watch on Facebook, people watch on Twitter, the live shows, and they download the audio versions and stuff as well. People take in their content in different ways, which is cool. But yeah, YouTube's the next target to build up. Want to try and hit 1,000 by the end of the year. That'd be nice. Be happy with that. But right, nice to be back, mate.
Awesome.
Appreciate your time, and
Good.
it's been good fun. Nice little general introduction as we discussed our satanic overlords, and
yeah, every little chat we had was a conspiracy on its own.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It's just had a little chat about general reintroduction, I suppose. But all good fun, and we will see you for the next episode of Conspiracy Theories on Ace Podcast Nation. Cheers, guys.
And listen.